WUSA 9 News at 6 starts right now with exclusive reporting on next weekend's Army Parade here in D.C. So thank you for staying with us. I'm Leslie Foster.
And I'm Lorenzo Hall. So there's been a lot of talk about this parade. We know that, from the cost to the significance to the impact it could have in our city and its infrastructure.
Tonight we're giving you an inside look at some of those parade preps that you won't see anywhere else. WUSA 9 was granted exclusive access to the Fort Cavazos military base in Killeen, Texas, and that is where the Army is loading up tanks to send this way to D.C. for that parade.
Our investigative team went there to get answers about how the Army plans to protect our streets here in D.C. from those heavy tanks. Our chief investigative reporter, Eric Flack, joins us now from Texas Tonight Live, where the military just wrapped up training exercises.
Yeah.
Hey guys, there are going to be 28 of these enormous Abrams battle tanks on the streets of Washington, D.C. as part of that 150 military vehicle convoy as part of that military parade in now just over a week. To give you some perspective about how big this vehicle is, I'm 6'4". It towers over me, 140,000 pounds, equivalent to 30 vehicles, well exceeding federal standards for how much weight should be on our interstates. There are individuals who are concerned about the potential impact of damage be done to our streets and roads by this parade and these vehicles rolling through the streets. The Army is confident that any damage, in their words, would be minimal. It's a three-pronged approach. One, they will be moving very slow, about 3 miles an hour. Two, they will be staggered and going over metal plates when they turn. And then three, and here's the big important key, they're to all be fitted with these rubber track pads. Now, these rubber track pads are supposed to keep the tracks, these hard metal tracks that would just tear up anything, from even touching our DC streets, and particularly Constitution Avenue. Now, you can see that these track pads are actually worn down. I've been told by the Army that all the vehicles that we're going to see in DC have these brand new 2-inch thick track pads on them. And the Army is confident that that is going to do the job to minimize or eliminate any potential damage on our streets. They do say they have put this plan into action in the past. Take a listen.
I think if I would go back and reflect on all the places we have been over the last several months, I have never received a single complaint from the Houston Rodeo Committee or the Texas Motor Speedway team that hey, 3 Corps, Fort Cavazos, thanks for your vehicles, but when they came off the low boys, you totally destroyed our parking lot or our side streets. Never had anything like that.
But to be clear, this is probably, as we know, the first time these tanks are going to be going a longer distance through a city street like Constitution Avenue.
Definitely a little bit longer. So I know the precautions that we have taken between the 1-inch steel pads at the turns, the track pads, the offset distance, that I think that's going to all mitigate any potential impacts.
As you just heard, the Army feeling very confident and assured by their precautions, although the Army has made the pledge that they will pay back DC for any damage that does occur with this parade. Still a lot to be seen. We've been here all day seeing these huge battle tanks and other fighting vehicles in action, and that is, I will say, what the Army thinks is the positive. And their headline is that the people of Washington, D.C. and the people of surrounding areas and really across the country are going to get a chance to interact, not just with these enormous vehicles that are really on the front lines of our fighting, but also the men and women who they say make these vehicles go. They say without these men and women inside the vehicles really are not anything special without the men and women of the Army. Guys, back to you.
Hey, Eric, we were just talking about these rubber pads that these are outfitted with, and here's a question. Would we know immediately if there was damage, or could there be damage that happens after the fact, once those tanks and everything have kind of moved out of the area, and then we look at the state of the roads?
It's a great question, Les. I'm going to give you another look at these track pads right here. Now, anything surface oriented on our roads, yeah, you'd probably see scratches or pavement torn up fairly immediately. I did talk to some structural engineers, including one at Virginia Tech, who you'll hear from tonight at 11 o'clock, who said his main concern is the utilities underneath Constitution Avenue. Are these vehicles going to be so heavy at 140,000 pounds each, 28 of them, that pressure could cause problems underneath the pavement, underneath Constitution Avenue that we don't immediately know about? The Army says they have a response to that too. They are staggering these vehicles as they come through Washington, D.C. and Constitution Avenue, so there isn't that collective weight all at one time. They also are not taking these vehicles across Memorial Bridge, which is another concern that people we spoke with had. Would the bridge be able to hold up to the weight of these vehicles? That is something the Army says they will not test. But obviously, Les, you are correct. This is something that we are going to monitor. This is something that we are going to have to keep an eye on in the days after that June 14th parade. And certainly this is something the Army says they want it to go right. Let's be clear. They want this to go right. They don't want to have any of these issues. They believe, they are confident that there will be no issues. As you said, we will see.
Yeah, it sounds like they have everything in place to make this work. But then the question is, if there is damage, how quickly will they be able to reimburse DC?
Absolutely,
because
DC's got a bit of a budget issue right
yeah,
now.
No
So yeah, lots of things to sort out. But Eric, your reporting has been superb. We'll see you a little later too.